Raise your hand if any of you think you can name the highest grossing movie franchise of all time. Okay, if anyone with your hands up is thinking Harry Potter, you're right. I've seen those movies easily 5 times or more, and I've read those books about 5 times or more as well. I have an extreme knowledge of Harry Potter. It's kind of insane. So with that knowledge, I'm going to draw parallels to different characters in the book to the 4 cornerstones of APU: scholarship, community, service, and Christ. The first cornerstone I'd like to bring up is scholarship. Now, when I think scholarship and I think Harry Potter, Hermione Granger is the first character that comes to my mind. She is consistently at the top of her year in grades and everything. And without her wit and her intellect, the boys, Harry and Ron, would not have passed their first year, much less defeated Voldemort. She was the brains behind it, and she made everything possible. The second cornerstone is community. Now, according to the APU Student Handbook, we are called to create a community. And community is a harmonious diversity where we value the worth of all. That comes into play in the magical world with Muggleborns, purebloods, and half-bloods. A harmonious diversity has all of them. Now let me explain. A Muggleborn is someone with non-magical parents, but they themselves are a magical being. And a half-blood, as it sounds, they're half magical and they themselves are witch or wizard. And pureblood, they have a magical mother and father, and they too are magical. Now the Order of the Phoenix is who I'd like to draw your attention to for community. They fight in a united force against the dark side, who believes that Muggleborns and those of less pure blood should be enslaved. And in fighting together and in fighting for the rights of all of them, they present a community for all. The next cornerstone I'd like to bring up is service. Service to an AP student requires us to have a servant's heart and to pour our lives into everyone that we can, whenever we get the chance, however it comes up. And my first thought for service is Dobby the house elf. Now, laugh as you will, but a house elf, yes, they're servants by nature, they have to be. They serve the family that they're born into, more or less. But Dobby, even when he was free, served Harry Potter unconditionally. He wanted nothing more than to serve him, and that he went above and beyond the duties of a house elf. As a free elf, nothing made him happier than to go to Harry, and that's how he died in the 7th book. He died by helping Harry and save his friends. The 4th cornerstone, the final one, is Christ. That, to me, as an AP student and according to the handbook, it means that we are to live like Christ did, to live in his light, and to follow his example. In literary terms, that reminds me of a messianic character, one who sacrifices themselves for one or for many. Now, there were a few characters I could have used in this, but in the end I chose Lily Evans, Harry's mother. Voldemort, in his gathering of evil, was targeting Harry, and in the Sorcerer's Stone, this is kind of what it leads into. He's a year old and he's a baby, and Voldemort's already targeting to kill him. So what happens is he goes into the house, he kills Harry's father and goes for Harry himself. But Lily steps in front of the killing curse that leads to her death, certain death. And she does it without a second thought, because at that moment, nothing is more important to her than saving her son. She died willingly and knowingly to save him. And isn't that what Christ did for us? He died willingly and knowingly to save us, the children of God, from our own sins. So while these books in nature, they're witchcraft, and I remember talk of them being banned, that terrified me. But they were written with underlying Christian values that our own school models after: scholarship, community, service, and Christ. I would like to conclude by reading from Scripture. Luke chapter 4, verse 34. Luke chapter 12, verse 34. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Not only is that in scripture, but in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, that's a line in there. Before I connected it to Luke in this semester's Luke App class, it was my favorite line in the book. And not only is it my favorite line in the book to this day, but it lines up with scripture. And it is my biggest piece of evidence that while witchcraft, Harry Potter does line up with Christian values.